Hey, Shalom, Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Chakadash, the ones of the apostles, bishops, elders, a great millstone, and Shalom, true brothers in the highways and byways, doing works sincerely and faithfully, and continually fighting that good fight of faith, Lord willing, we're found that number to be delivered. All right? So this lesson is going to be stemming from a couple of videos I watched, and concerning the Iranian-Americans who are in America and who are, going above and beyond to show their support for America and Israel. All right. So I'm gonna say this, and this goes to all these nations, these heathenistic nations. You better do your homework before you go to a country and decide to live there. All right. You better do your homework, because these so-called Iranian Americans, they have no idea what's coming from. They have absolutely no clue. All right. So without further ado, let me play this quick video here.
USA! USA!
Shouts of joy, relief, and gratitude. On Saturday, hundreds of Iranians gathered at the Boston Public Library for a Freedom of Iran rally. They are dancing in the streets after the U.S. and Israel launched strikes against Iran and the Islamic Republic regime. Today, they thank President Donald Trump for helping the people of Iran.
We're specifically thanking United States for supporting us. I just spoke to my mom. They're all dancing in the street. No one is scared of getting killed anymore.
The assault known as Operation Epic Fury came on the heels of President Trump threatening the Iranian regime for weeks to make a new deal to reduce its nuclear program and to end its violent crackdown on protesters in January.
You can see them chanting USA. We are happy that finally the help arrived and Trump is helping the protesters as he promised.
Through speeches and chants, American, Iranian, and Israeli flags were held high.
This is not a war between USA and Iran. This is a war between USA and Islamic Republic, the terrorist regime.
Today, Congressman Stephen Lynch says President Trump should have conferred with Congress before initiating the attack.
I'm just terribly fearful that we may be putting our sons and daughters in uniform in harm's way. The president has repeatedly used military force in a half dozen countries without conferring with Congress, never mind asking for their authorization.
So many of these folks left Iran decades ago. They left their loved ones and family members behind because of the tyranny. Now they think this is the first step where they could possibly think about returning back home.
If things change, why not? If you have a democratic Iran.
I haven't been back to Iran in 21 years because of this regime.
In Boston, I'm Paul Burton, WBZ News.
All right. So as I stated, you better do your homework. Clearly they haven't done their homework, and they haven't seen the history that America has led over the past 50 years and what they've done to countries posing as going in to be the savior. All right. So from there, let me go here. All right. So this is an article out of the New York Post, and it says, Iran attacks on U.S. soil likely with thousands of vengeful sleeper cells in country. No, not a matter of it, but when. All right. So these news outlets are putting planting the seed out there, if you will, about these Iranian cells, these terror cells. All right. And what do you think that's going to do to the people, the so-called Iranian Americans who are jumping around cheering USA? What do you think that's going to do to them? So it says here, Iran could attack Americans with thousands of sleeper cells hiding across the country, along with innovative drone assaults never before seen in the country. A former top U.S. fighter pilot cautioned after intelligence reports suggest strikes on California were possible. All right. So one of the Iranian leaders said, listen, we don't have drones that can't even go that far, but they have to plant that seed. All right. Whether it be, some type of, false flag, some black swan, any type of attack that they can put together to blame the Iranian people in this country. These individuals who are running around chanting USA, they're going to find themselves in an internment camp. All right. So that's good on that. That's good on that. You get the gist of that. So let's continue on a little bit. Now, let's take it back to World War II. All right. It says where the Japanese put in internment camps. During World War II, the U.S. government forcibly relocated and incarcerated over 120,000 people of Japanese descent, roughly 2/3 of whom were U.S. citizens, in 10 war relocation authority camps initiated by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, Executive Orders 9066, on February 19, 1942. This action targeted residents in Western U.S. All right. So here you had the so-called Japanese-Americans in America being rounded up because of what was happening in war during the time of World War II. Now here you have where World War III, you have the Iranian-Americans in America showing support, showing their alliance, and what do you think is going to happen to them? All right? What do you think is going to happen? So let's go from there. Let's go here. This is called the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Is a federal law allowing the U.S. president to apprehend, restrain, secure, and deport non-citizens ages 14 or older who are native or citizens of a foreign nation in the time of declared war or during a threatening invasion, predatory intrusion. So what do you think is going to happen to these Iranians who are out there? It says it is the only part of the 4 Alien and Sedition Acts still enforced. All right. Let me read that again. It is the only part of the 4 Alien and Sedition Acts still enforced. So again, these individuals who are chanting USA, we love Trump, America, this, that, and the third. What do you think is going to happen to these people? They're going to be rounded up. They ain't going back home. They ain't sending them back to Iran. All right? And even if they did send them back to Iran, what do you think is going to happen to them with the Iranian people? Seeing a plane coming from America with their Iranian people on there. Shit ain't going to happen. What these people are going to do, they're going to be missile food. When them thermonuclear missiles start to fly, these individuals are going to be food for the thermonuclear missiles. All right? And like I said, they haven't done their homework. Every time this country has went to go help out a name of a country in the name of freedom or in the name of democracy, what ends up happening? You seen what happened with what Trump did to Puerto Rico during those hurricanes. Went over there, goosenecking paper towels into the audience. All right? And many more countries America has strong-armed under the guise of we're coming to help you. Right? So, the Alien Enemies Act is an act that Donald Trump has now enacted, first and foremost, to round up the so-called Mexicans, if you will, that were in this country illegally. You see, everything that's happening right now is a stage or a seed planter. First it was the so-called Mexicans. Now it's going to be the Iranians. And what? In the time of war. This is the time when we're at war. They already got a whole host of, internment camps or concentration camps, if you will, throughout America. And they will be filled with and citizens and non-citizens. All right. Let me go here real quick just to get another quick video.
those years during the war?
The tour comes after President Donald Trump invoked the same act, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, that was used to incarcerate Japanese Americans during World War II. Today, the act is being used to justify the deportation of immigrants accused of being part of a Venezuelan street gang, although it's been challenged in court and has been temporarily blocked. Aizo Kabayashi was just 9 years old the last time the Alien Enemies Act was used.
I was really excited as a 9-year-old. Christmas was just around the corner.
But
my parents were quite upset. I asked my mother what was wrong, and she said, the United States has declared war on Japan.
Soon his family was told they would have to leave their Oakland home. They were taken to what was known as an assembly center called Tanforan, just south of San Francisco. Previously, it had been a horse racetrack.
We were guided over to where the stalls were, the horse stalls we were going to live in. The stench was still, it was something you couldn't get rid of because it was all seeped into the wood.
His family eventually was moved to Topaz internment camp in Utah.
The expression during that time, throughout that time, was the only good Jap is a dead Jap.
I asked Aizo if he thinks we...
You see that? So, you Iranian-Americans, you're in for a hell of a time, man. And anybody else that's joining hand in hand, you are in for a hell of a time. Right? This is Sirach chapter 12. We'll start down at 10. It says, never trust thy enemy, for like iron is rusteth, so is his wickedness. Now, America and Iran have been at odds for the past 45 years. Okay? Past 45 years, America and Iran have never seen eye to eye. And then you got these Iranians coming here to America, cheering and boasting and bragging. You are enemies, man. You are pure enemies. You going to a fight cheering on your enemy. What do you think that's going to do to the minds of those who are from your native land? They're going to look at you as a traitor. Okay? But you're trusting in your enemy. And again, of course, this is for the children of Israel, but it still extends out just as general wisdom. It says, though he humble himself and go a crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. Did you take good heed of this devil? Did you read the history on what these people do to nations that they supposedly go help? See, what happened was, you Iranians, when you came over here, you was flying under the radar. You was quiet, had your own little community. Nobody was messing with you. All right? But now that you see America and Israel dropping bombs, now you want to be heard. You want your voices to be heard. Talking about if Iran can become a democratic state. That shit ain't happening. And the crazy thing is, the news reports that you're listening to are all wrong. Iran's getting busy over there, man. So there's no hope. There's no hope for you people, man. There's no hope for you here in America. And you're going to end up in some kind of concentration or internment camp talking about why is this happening to us? We support America. They don't give a goddamn about you. They don't care about you or your family or your kids or how much support you have. All right? Here you had some Puerto Ricans, and Puerto Rico is a part of the U.S. territory, right? You had them on stage talking about, we love Trump, Trump this and Trump that. The next thing you know, Trump was talking about, y'all going to get deported too. You're going to find out the hard way. Verse 12, it says, set him not by thee, lest when he has overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. And this is what he's trying to do to Iran right now. He's trying to overthrow Iran so he can get control of the Strait of Hormuz. All right? He can get control of that portion of the land. That's what he's trying to do. And he's trying to win over, which he has, he's trying to win over the American people by saying that Iran is a regime that has been threatening the whole world. They got nuclear missiles. They're going to drop a bomb on us, you know? And you simpleton Iranians, you fall right for this shit because you didn't do your homework. You have not done your homework to find out who you was truly dealing with. All right? It says, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and he pricked there and be pricked therewith. All right? So you people don't get it. And you're not gonna get it until that time comes when he decides to strike on you. All right? Let one of these so-called sleeper cells do something, or let there be some type of false flag where they blame the sleeper cells. Every single one of you Iranian people over here are going to get rounded up. There's no doubt. Because at that point, if the American government don't round you up, the American people are going to seek you out. All right? Now, you remember that movie Civil War? When your man he said, yeah, we're Americans. And he said, yeah, well, what kind of American? That's the same sentiment that you Iranians are going to have when you're faced with these so-called militia groups, you know, these gun-ho American, American defenders, whatever they want to call themselves. They're going to say, yeah, we're American. What kind of American are you? Well, Iranian-American. Well, that's not going to cut it. Okay? That's not going to cut it. And here you have Babylon talking about they're going to liberate the Iranian people. Let me jump down to 16. It says, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. Isn't that what they've done? Don't they go on the news talking about we're going to come in and save the people of Iran? That's speaking sweetly. It says, but in his heart he imagines how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his lips. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. And he found opportunity. And he's dropping bombs. You think he's satisfied? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. 17. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. Because wasn't this what the Iranian people was talking about? We're having a difficult time. This tyrant, the people aren't able to live. People worried about getting killed in the streets. So who steps up? The king of Babylon. You'll find him there first. It says, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. All right. So again, we understand that these words were spoken to the children of Israel, but it still can apply to these nations now. Okay. So these devils know exactly what they're doing. And it's just a matter of time, as the article said, when they activate one of these so-called sleeper cells. They're already talking about a drone flying over to California. They may target some type of sporting event. Whatever it is, it's going to be big, because it's got to be convincing. It has to be convincing. All right. And the more propaganda that they put out there, the more it's going to be believable when they make this strike, man. When Esau implements this strike. For the past 20 years, right? You've heard nothing about Iran looking to make a move on America. Nothing. Not one peep. The Trump wants to go to the negotiation table. Iran says thank you but no thank you, right? And now all of a sudden Iran is this public enemy number one. Trump said, oh yeah, they were going to bomb a missile, they're going to hit us with a nuclear missile. Well, where's the proof of that? But again, the least of the flock drew them out. America stepped up to the plate, and here we are. Here we are. Let's continue on. This is Psalms 55, and I'll jump down to 21. And again, pertaining to the children of Israel, but it also can extend out to these other nations, because these other nations are experiencing the very same thing. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. We're going to help the Iranian people. We're going to liberate them. We're going to give them democracy. We're going to give them that land back. We're going to make them feel free. Okay? And the American Iranians who have become Americanized are eating that up hook, line, and sinker. Why don't you reach out to these so-called Japanese that went over here and their family members, all right, and ask them a couple questions when the Japanese were thrown into internment camps during the time of a war. You think the Japanese will ever trust the American government again during these type of times, during these crucial times? Absolutely not. Let's continue on. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were soft as oil, yet they were drawn swords. All right? War is always going to be in Esau's heart, because he's the wicked. All right? He is the wicked that the Bible speaks of. So he's always going to have war in his heart. You know? These Iranians say, oh, we left Iran to come to a place where, we could live and be free and have safety and security. This is where everybody wants to come. Until you get here and you find out, oh shit. Now, like I said earlier, these Iranians, these American Iranians, they have found their little community and they found their little place in this world where they was flying under the radar. But now that you reared up your heads during the time of war, guess what? You're going to suffer the consequences. All right? These executive orders, I believe it was 9066, they're going to be used on you. Known as what? The Alien Enemy Act. You will be public enemy number one. Okay? This is Hosea 9 and 13. It says, Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place, but Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer. And like I said before, you didn't do your homework, because you've done the same thing. You brought your children over to the murderer. And not only did you bring them to the murderer, you're cheering the murderer on. Jumping up and down for joy, acting like you just won, the Nobel Peace Prize. You see how silly these nations are? You see what this nation does to people? It gives you that false sense of security. And by their sweet talking and their smooth words, people just, fall right to sleep with it. You get a newborn baby, and you got the baby, you kind of give him a little lullaby, the treetop. That's what the smooth words of Babylon, the kings of Babylon, do. No, you guys are gonna be just fine. We got you covered. You're all set. Come on over. Then you find yourself in a concentration camp or in a horse stable. What do you think is gonna happen, man? So stay tuned, man. Stay tuned and watch what happens when they open up the floodgates for this this insurrection act. I mean, for this terror cell. You watch what happens. All right. So again, a quick hit on the Iranian-Americans not doing their homework and cheering on the enemy for their demise. I'll show you another one. I'm gonna say shalom.